Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of Builders Talk. So the last 2 episodes, I've spoken to you about how I got into the industry and how I started looking for ways to improve my business. And today I'm going to talk to you about what keeps me powering on. I was talking to a friend after the show last week, and she said to me, why? Why do we keep doing it, Ange? And she shared her why was, well, really just that because she'd married a builder. And we often, I guess, do question ourselves why when you've got people sort of talking to you not so very nicely. And I guess one example was I had a client that told me that we had a master-servant relationship and that he was the master and that we were his servants. And as you can imagine, that didn't go down very well. But I have to be very professional and I can't answer with my true self as to how I wanted to reply to that comment that was made. But I guess it got me thinking about why. And I was on a virtual business retreat with my coach at the end of January. And in that retreat, they kept asking, why? Why do you keep doing what you're doing, Ange? Why do you want to do this? And it was a really big question. I couldn't really answer the question until they actually broke down the why into 4 different reasons. And one of the reasons was, what does this mean for your family? And I was like, okay, that's a bit easier to work out. What does it mean to my family? And so I wrote down in my workbook what it meant to my family and what it meant for me to keep doing what I'm doing. And then they asked me to share my reason with the group. And what I actually wrote down, I was really quite surprised. And I'll tell you what I'd written down, and that was to relieve my husband from a highly stressful, hugely liable, relentless, and unfulfilling business. And I was just like, oh my God, and I said to everyone, I said, why do I even work in this business? Why would I want to work in something that I believe my husband potentially hates? It's highly stressful, hugely liable, and relentless. It just doesn't stop. It seems to go 24 hours a day, from emails, phone calls, issues on site. It just never really seems to stop. So I really was a bit dumbfounded as to why I'd said that. And I know that we will often question ourselves, why do we keep going? Why don't we just go and work for someone else? And usually the answers are, I couldn't work for someone else. I like the flexibility of being able to work my own hours, even though we usually end up working 80 hours instead of a 40-hour job that we could just go and relax in. And the main, I guess, reason why we keep going is the ability to make more money. So then the next question out of those 4 whys was, what is the reason for society, and why did I want to change society's, I guess, image of builders? And this is what I'm going to be talking to you about today. So I kept getting this strong pull to not only obviously improve our own custom home building business, but also to improve the industry and to help relieve not only my husband, the builder's pressures and pain that he goes through every day, but also other builders as well. And I really wanted to reinforce our family's custom home building business. And I also wanted other businesses to be able to feel that relief by building, I guess, and making better lives for ourselves. And within that is also to help reduce suicide in the industry. So in the building industry, the suicide rate is actually double what any other industry is. And we are given lots of opportunities within the building industry, and we can take on those opportunities if we strive for them. But if you think you can just keep doing what we've been doing, you will get left behind. You know, the next generation of builders are right in our coattails, and they're going to leapfrog over us because they're better at adopting technology than what I guess the previous generation of builders have. So we're basically, both the building industry has a lot of business models that we're working off that are borrowed from other industries, or they've been modeled off other industries. There's a lot of old school thoughts, and we don't seem to update our procedures or business practices to match the ever-changing business environment. We are, like late adopters of technology, and we really need to start changing that to make sure that our businesses actually survive, and that we can try and help relieve some of those pressures that we do see within the industry. So I started to see that I needed to, I guess, disconnect myself from the business and started looking at wise ways to make investments to get a better return in our business that would make it so that we really felt like we were actually doing some good and really living a good life. So it wasn't until I went to a conference in America, and one of the speakers was talking about investing and cash flow and money. And what they were talking about was that when we're growing up, we're basically taught that we save money. We have a fixed amount of money that we get per year, and we decide we're going to put aside whatever, $5,000 a year, and that money will then go towards investing in something. That might be investing in the stock market. It could be investing in property, and that would give us a rate of return. But that rate of return is actually being governed or controlled by someone else and not necessarily ourselves. And what I started realizing is that our business gives us the ability to create our own rate of return, and in effect gives us the ability to actually print our own money. And I guess at that point, I realized that we do have a business that gives us the ability to create our own, not only rate of return, but also our own, I guess, how we envisaged our life and why we actually started our own business. And then I needed to start investing in our own business. And to invest in our own business, I needed to start investing in my mindset, my skill sets, and my network, my networks that I guess, interact with. So last week I did say to you about that no one else is going to help us in our business. You know, we all think that our employees or our subcontractors or suppliers are going to help us in our business, but we soon come to the understanding that that's not going to happen. No one's going to help us with that. So I needed to basically shift my mindset and my skills and my networks to shift that into my business, and, you know, start looking at things like sales, marketing, processes and systems, and along with people, and look at investing in those things and not seeing them as expenses to my business, because our business is our greatest asset, and the returns we can generate in our business outweigh any other investment that you can make, and you control it. But the only way in controlling that is actually learning how to control that, which then comes down to this: your mindset, your knowledge, and your skills. So, I mean, where else can you get a return on your money that is 10%, 20%, or 30% within a year? So let's just run through a scenario. You start your business, you put in $100,000 in capital. And I know a lot of builders and tradies actually start their businesses without any capital. So at the end of the year, you get $100,000 back out of your business. So that's 100% rate of return in just 1 year. And I bet you can't make that in the stock market or in investing in property. So I guess if you look at it in numbers terms, if you have $1 million turnover and you work on it just for round figures and easy calculations, a 10% net profit, this gives you back that $100,000, assuming that your overheads are covered by a margin when you charge in your contract price, which definitely needs to be doing. So you not only factor in what profit that you'd like to make, but you're also factoring in your business overheads within your, I guess, price that you're charging your client. So I guess when we start our business, we're in control of how we design that business. And unfortunately, typically, we design the business with, I guess, a habit of paying everyone else first, bending over backwards for the client, taking on every job that comes over our table. And we actually make our business a monster. It's an uncontrollable monster that sometimes you just want to stuff down in a box and kick it out the door. But what we need to do is we need to start transitioning our business and designing it into a business that we do have control of, and that we start to look after ourselves, because when we look after ourselves, we can start looking after others. And when we start looking after others, everything gets a lot easier. So we're not running around job sites like a chook with our head cut off. We're not stressed. We're not, biting people's heads off. If you look after yourselves, you'll start to look after your I guess, other people around you, and this will help build you into a better business. So the building industry, our business model is fairly terrible, especially for, I guess, mum and dad type building businesses, because they don't really have the capacity to take on many jobs. It's very hard to scale because you need a lot of capital, and there is limited repeat clients that we get. And I spoke to you last week, and I think the week before, about clients and subbies and the supplier's experience and needing to, I guess, find a better way to do business, to control all those factors within the business to make it easier for us to, like I said, design our business to be able to bring us the profits and bring us, I guess, what we actually set out to at the beginning, why we started our business. And to do that, we need to change the business model, and we need to start, being smarter about our operations. And one of my mentors says, second money is always the best money. And I spoke about not having repeat clients, but second money comes to us easier, because that's so basically second money is when we're having, clients come back and build for us. We've already paid to acquire that customer, and we've been working with those customers before. So when they come back and build with us again, then everyone knows what's expected and everyone can work well together. So like this year, we've already got 3 clients that are coming back to build with us, that have built with us before. And that's what you want to be able to have, that business that people do have a good experience, and they're happy with their product, they're happy with your quality, and they won't go anywhere else. They always contact you. And it is hard to get that in the building businesses. So you need to start designing that, because then you will be able to build up your asset base, and you will be able to increase your capacity to do business. But I guess most people think the way to increase the capacity in your business is to put on a supervisor, get bigger, and this will just make you more money. But unfortunately, this comes with lots of extra complications and lots more expenses. And I sat down and worked out that if you put on a supervisor, you basically need, just to pay for that supervisor, an extra $1 million of turnover in your business to be able to pull the profit out. So say we work on round figures again, $1 million, you need to pay that supervisor at probably $100,000 by the time you buy a car and a computer and phones. So making 10%, that's what it basically costs you. So a lot of people don't realize the cost of what that supervisor is going to cost them, and what the reality of getting another $1 million worth of turnover. And where I live, the average build contract might be $400,000. So that potentially is 2 to 3 extra homes a year, which is a lot of capacity for you to take on. And so I started looking for better ways, and I believe that bringing more women into the industry will help relieve some of that pressure, and also, design that better business, as opposed to the builders trying to do everything. And, the usual saying, if you try to do everything, you don't do anything very well. So we need to bring more women into the industry. And a lot of, for that to happen, we need to break away from the identity of, I guess, I was talking to my best friend and she has a husband who's an electrician and she's a hairdresser. And I asked her, I said, do you think you could come and work in your husband's business and help him increase his cash flow and increase the profits in his business? And she said to me, other than she laughed and said, I know, they would basically kill each other. They'd end up in divorce. But I said, put aside that. And I said, why couldn't you help him? And she said, because I don't know anything about electrical. And I said, okay, stop right there. I said, what's that up there? And she said, a downlight. I said, okay. I said, what's that over there? She says, a PowerPoint. Okay, PowerPoint. And what's that over there? Oh, that's a light switch. And what about that up there? That's a fan. And I said, okay, so you know what all those things are. Yeah, sure. You don't know how to wire them in or you don't know how they work. But what's stopping you from picking up a plan and going, okay, there's 10 downlights, there's 3 fans, and there's 5 PowerPoints. And if your husband's giving you a price list, you could then put together a quote or you could do an invoice to help in that business. And she said, well, I guess nothing, but it's just that, I guess, mentality of thinking, well, I don't know how to build, or I don't know how to be an electrician, or I don't know how to be a plumber. There is so many things and there's such a valuable asset that you could add to that business that a lot of us are not aware of that ability. And so then I said to her, so could you put posts up on Facebook? And she said, oh, of course I can. He doesn't even put them up. So I guess I'd be better at doing that than him. And I said, right, there you go. I said, and what about invoicing and bookkeeping? She said, oh, I don't know how to do that. And I said, well, do you think your husband knew how to do that? And do you think that he got taught that in electrical trade school? She said, no, I don't think so. I said, so he's learned how to do it. So why can't you learn how to do it? And what if I helped you learn how to do that? She said, well, yeah, I guess I could do that. So not only, like, obviously the builders need to actually also, I guess, help in this transition of accepting more help from other people, whether that be your wife, your partner, or a significant other person that can come into the business and help you design that business to be better than what it is now, and start to accept that you might need to let go of a few roles within the business to actually improve your asset and to bring in more profits within the business. By doing this, hopefully we'll be able to make the industry better and shake off that dodgy builder label. So if you are looking for ways to reinforce your custom home building business, I've put together a program which will be coming out at a later date, but called the Custom Construct Code. And this program basically will help reinforce the building business. And this is not just only for women. This is also for builders who want to improve all aspects in their building business to basically build a better business asset and get a better rate of return to live the life that you imagined when you started your own business. And so in the meantime, until that program's out, I'll see you next week and keep powering your business.